Have you ever put on an outfit and instantly felt differently? Maybe more powerful, maybe more put together, or like you could take on anything? Well, there's actual science behind why this happens, and it's called enclothed cognition. Maybe you've heard about it before, but I really want to dive into this a little bit deeper. Your clothes don't just influence how others see you, they can actually shape how you see yourself. They impact your confidence, your decision making, and even your performance as a leader. So today I'm unpacking the science behind enclothed cognition and why what you wear can literally change your brain, and how your wardrobe affects your leadership presence and potentially your career trajectory. The common style mistakes that might be working against you without you even realizing it. And most importantly, how to use this knowledge to your advantage. So by the end of this episode, I don't think you'll look at your wardrobe the same ever again. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Style and Strategy Podcast, where personal brand meets leadership and style. I'm Sonia, a personal brand and style coach who's been exactly where you are, juggling career and business success, personal growth, and finding a style that truly fits. After decades in corporate leadership, I've learned that showing up isn't just about what you do. It's about how you align who you are and how the world sees you. This season, I'm bringing you practical strategies, bold insights, and honest conversations to help you amplify your presence, unlock your next level, and lead with clarity and confidence. Let's dive in. So let's start off with the science part, because this is not just a feel-good concept. Researchers at Northwestern University coined the term enclothed cognition, really to explain how clothing can impact our psychological processes. So here's what some of the researchers and different studies actually have said. So study number one, which is a study that I've seen around and quoted around a few times before, but it's really around participants wearing a white lab coat, right? So, like a doctor's lab coat. And the reason why they selected a white lab coat, because it was tied to this perception of intelligence and professionalism. So when the participants actually wore this white lab coat, they actually performed better in cognitive tasks compared to those in casual clothes. Think about that for a second. So you remember we're in COVID and you're wearing your athleisure wear all the time, or maybe on a Friday, it's casual Friday, and maybe there's a shift in how you are actually performing. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's when you're wearing those casual clothes, you can become more creative versus maybe doing some other tasks. So there is definitely a linkage there. And I think many of us have seen that in practice. Study number two was about wearing formal clothing actually helps to boost abstract thinking. So helping leaders make strategic decisions more effectively. So again, think about that for a second. How could you use that in your everyday? Maybe those times when you've got a block around making a decision or wanting to be able to think more abstractly, maybe you need to go wear some formal clothing to help drive a different outcome. And thirdly, they found that athletes who wore red more often were more likely to win competitions because they felt more dominant. How do you feel when you wear red? Some people love it, some people don't. And that was actually from the Psychological Science Journal as well. So if you think about all these concepts, it further proves that clothes are not just fabric. They actually hold psychological power. They can influence how you behave, think, and lead. They can reinforce or potentially weaken your leadership brand. And they help shape the first impressions you leave on yourself and with others. Have you ever noticed how you show up differently, whether it's you're in more casual gear versus something a little bit more structured or put together? That is the power of enclothed cognition at play. And why dressing intentionally is really a leadership tool and not just a style choice. So, when I think about this particular topic, I want to go a little bit deeper. So, if what you wear changes your mindset and confidence, what does that actually mean for leadership? So, if you dress with a bit more intention, think about how it could potentially boost your executive presence, whether you're an executive or not. Because studies can actually show that leaders who dress more intentionally potentially are experienced as more competent and trustworthy. Interesting, right? That was actually from a Harvard Business Review study. That enhanced decision making, so leaders in what is deemed as professional attire can take bolder, more strategic risks compared to those who are in casual wear, thanks to a study by Columbia Business School. And then finally, think about strengthening self perception. So, your outfit can actually help you embody the leadership traits that you inspire to. And for me, this has got to be one of the fundamental tenets of what I teach and how I teach when I talk about leadership traits, leadership brands, and then bringing style in as a strategic tool. Because when you can actually combine those elements together, you become your strongest and most powerful self. But here's where sometimes people can go wrong. They actually forget style altogether because they go, it's superficial. No one cares about it anymore. But in reality, it's an unspoken leadership tool. They potentially wear clothes that are in conflict with the brand that they're trying to put out there. So it causes a little bit of initial mixed signals. And thirdly, they're dressing for a brand or position that was in the past and not where they are today and where they're headed, which can potentially hold them back and cause misalignment. So, the key here for you is really thinking about your clothing acting as that psychological trigger and reinforcing your leadership brand and identity every single time you step into a room. So, if you want to be seen as that bold, decisive leader, ask yourself, does my wardrobe really reflect that? Do you want to be recognized for that expertise that you've got? Well, then are you visually signaling that? And if you want to feel more powerful, are you choosing clothes that will give you that edge you're looking for? So I want you to have a bit of a think about the last big meeting you walked into, maybe the last high stake moment in your career. What were you wearing? Did you feel confident if you look back and reflect on it? Did you feel prepared? Or did you feel out of sync when you look back at it? And do you feel like I wasn't actually representing my best self? Okay, now let's get to the part that really changes everything. How do you actually use this knowledge to your advantage? So your wardrobe fuels, not hinders your success. So I've got 4 key things for you to think about. 1, I want you to be able to define your leadership identity in 3 words. If you've listened to me for a little while, you might already have these words in your pocket already. But your wardrobe really needs to reflect these traits because when it does, it really reinforces your presence. Number 2, have you created a outfit that makes you feel completely unstoppable? What is yours? Start noticing what are the clothes that make you feel strong versus small. And what are the ones that really empower you? And step 3 is I want you to use color to your advantage. You know, we already know that colors have a psychological effect. So, how are you using them strategically? Whether it's for yourself or whether you want to use it in terms of how others experience you. I've talked before in other episodes around, red, that power, confidence, action. Blue, trust, credibility, calm, authority. Black, strength, sophistication, and control. And white, clarity, new beginning, precision. Where are you on that color spectrum? What are you wearing that makes you feel powerful, credible, have clarity? How are you pulling that lever? And then step 4 is this isn't about just having an outfit that's going to make you feel put together. It's actually about stepping into your next level before the world sees it, and potentially even before you're ready, but so that you can combine those two elements of your leadership brand and how it's visually represented to really help you propel your career forward. I will never forget a moment where I was in a high stakes room presenting a strategy that I had, but I just didn't feel like I owned that room. I didn't feel like I belonged. I might have had the title, I might have had the experience and the expertise, but I still didn't feel like I belonged. It was a version of me dressed the way I was and where I'd come from, not the woman that I wanted to be seen as and experienced as. And it wasn't until that moment that I realized that things changed and I shifted how I showed up and how I wanted to dress. And that made such a difference going forward for me. So, what is your shift that you need to be thinking through? I want you to remember after this particular episode is your style is not just a reflection of your brand. It is an active tool in shaping your leadership, your confidence, and your overall presence. So, take a look at your wardrobe. What clothes make you feel powerful versus which ones drain you? Experiment. Try dressing as the self that you want to be next week and see, does it shift your mindset? Doesn't it? And how do you actually want to refine your leadership brand visually? Because if your wardrobe isn't reinforcing that brand, your authority, your expertise, it's time for you to level up. If you need a bit of help in this space, come and book in for your free brand and style audit. I'm going to help you pinpoint what's missing and where you can go to that next level. Drop me a DM, drop me an email, because I want you to remember that you've already got the expertise. Now, let's just make sure that the world sees it the way you do.